everyone, welcome to another Book Review Wednesday, and today I will be diving into the book The Pope's Army, 500 Years of the Papal Swiss Guard, written by Robert Royal. Now this one is quite fascinating because it basically follows the history and origins all leading up to today of the Swiss Guard. Now, in case you're unfamiliar with what the Swiss Guard is, basically the Swiss Guard is in charge of protecting the Pope. So basically they are kind of like his sort of secret service, in that they make sure that there's no harm that comes onto him, and that he's given proper security measures and all of that. So they're really in charge of making sure that all's well ends well for the Pope. Now, this book really does dive into the significance of this particular guard, and really how they have developed their means of protection over the years. And it also talks about the various incidents that happened over the years to where the Swiss Guard would have to sort of fight to protect the Pope, especially in times of war and even occupation. So you really do get a sense of how they operate kind of as a sort of small military force, and how the Swiss in particular are really actually quite known for being very militaristic, in the sense that they have kind of built up their military over the years. In case you're unfamiliar with Switzerland in particular, they require each man to serve in their army, and this goes on for a certain number of years. And this isn't necessarily having to do with combat, like they're not sent to any front lines necessarily. They're just given various forms of training. You know, they'll shoot a gun maybe, they'll hike up the mountains, you know, they'll just do kind of drilling, you know, just things like that. And that kind of really in-depth knowledge, I think is really something that really worked to the Swiss advantage. And I think that's why, in particular, the papacy saw a lot of potential with the Swiss army and military over the years. And you sort of see why the Pope ended up choosing them to sort of represent him and kind of be his watchful guardian angel, so to speak. Now, for people who are interested in history and the military, this one I would say is definitely a quite enjoyable book, and provides a lot of context within those areas. Again, it doesn't really dive into the religious angle, so again, it's not you don't have to necessarily be Catholic or anything to read the story. And I mean, I'm not even Catholic either, so I mean, even despite my lack of really religiousness, I can still find some enjoyment and kind of appreciation from it. I guess I would say it's because I'm partially Swiss that I kind of find the whole concept of the Swiss card kind of interesting. But it's a really well executed book, and doesn't really stretch on for too long. Again, I think it's just roughly under 200 pages, so doesn't overstay its welcome. And again, it doesn't really drive into the religious angle all too much as far as the Catholic Church is concerned and all of that. It just more discusses the history and how certain political and maybe economic and maybe and other issues impacted sort of the way in which the Swiss Guard sort of operated over the years, and how they sort of handled all of these different crises that were happening over the years. And you know, despite all of that happened, the the success that they've had in really protecting the Pope has been, I think, really noted well of. So it definitely gives sort of explanations into how that effectiveness has led to more so positive outcomes. But I think that's really all I can say, though, about this book without really giving too much away. Again, if you enjoy history, and again, this book is a little bit dry, so it's not designed to be like an interesting, in-depth story into things and be like a drama, sort of. It's just kind of just displaying facts and information to you. So it's just a nice little factoid book that if you find some interest in, I think can be um, quite satisfying. But I think that's really ultimately all I can say about it. If there are any questions, comments, concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care.